All right. And we are now live. Professional podcasting.
Oh my
the
word.
last word. Ebontis, Ty Guy Travis, fresh on that Thursday evening campfire. We've got cinemas. We've got drama. It's a fun week. What is going on, E?
Yeah. Besides trying to get this podcast started. No, it's been a fun week since Tuesday, and content creators making videos, talking about stuff we've been talking about for forever. Amazing cinematics in the game, which probably should have been here 3 months ago or earlier. Depending on 4 months ago, I guess technically now, as we're on week 5. We got a quest that is tied to RNG. Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. It's been interesting. And then, artists, which does seem to be reasonably resolved now.
Yes.
Yeah, I also played the Lies of P demo. I'm on the final boss at this point.
Oh, how you liking that?
The developer did say they're going to work on the dodge. This is one of
Okay.
those things, because what was the other game that did this too? Wolong. I think the dodge was also not great there. The parry window was small or something like that. And then that got changed before release. Apparently getting the little nuances right takes a little bit. So the demos are probably a good thing. Open betas are probably a good thing for stuff like that from software. And then whoever does Neo, you guys did it pretty well, even though they did. But yeah, it's like from software, just they understand that. And everybody else is trying to find that line. The other one, Sea of Stars, is actually on Next Fest, and I am going to play that before Steam Next Fest goes away, because that's kind of a Chrono Trigger feeling one, and I want to definitely put some time into that. I haven't got to play that yet, but I did play Lies of P most of the end. Feels pretty good so far. They've got some interesting systems in there. A little bit of Bloodborne where you can fight for your health back when you get down to your last potion and use it. And if you can do enough damage, you can earn yourself another potion back, which is kind of rewarding aggression in a little different way. Travis is shaking. That is how that works, right? Why are you shaking?
Yeah, no,
your head?
you're right. I just hate that mechanic. The Bloodborne did that too. It just turns it into a hack and slash, which is why Bloodborne is bad.
Oh my God.
Wow.
They gonna come for you. They gonna come for you. They ain't no Bloodborne.
What
fans.
is your favorite
Let 'em
Souls? I'm
come.
actually curious. I don't know if I ever asked.
Yeah, what is your favorite Souls?
Does Elden Ring count?
I mean, it has to.
Of course.
Yeah, then Elden Ring.
Okay.
It's pretty easy. I'd say my
Cool.
problem with Bloodborne is that they took all the things I liked about the Souls series, which are the things that are RPG about it, being able to make different classes and be like.
Oh, then you probably hate Sekiro.
Sekiro, actually, I don't have a problem with, because Sekiro is so linear that I feel I don't know. For me, it was like I went in and I wanted that specific thing. But Bloodborne is they give you different weapons and they're all kind of the same. Like you have a gun and you have a weapon and they kind of decide your class for you and they reward aggression. And it's the easiest Souls game, in my opinion. Bloodborne is it's 6 hours long. I feel like I got through that game and died 3 times.
That's nice. It was my first Souls game to play. That was not my experience.
Oh, it was your first.
It was my first.
You see the Souls.
Apparently, I stepped into the baby pool or the kiddie pool of Souls games, which, by the way, you can kiss my
I will
butt.
say,
It's not, but
I think Bloodborne is a good game to start with in the Souls game, because I think at that point
they should remake it. I don't understand why it's not.
Nah, don't remake it. It's mediocre.
Just polish it. No, literally
mediocre.
Just 60 frames per second.
Forget it.
And then upgrade the textures. Just that's
move
it.
On. Just make a better game.
This guy.
60 frames and loading.
You don't need to
60 frames and loading screens.
Whatever.
That's all I'm asking. Those is pretty much all you need.
Nah, just focus on something that's better than that game. Don't waste time.
Travis is wild messy.
Yeah,
he is wild. He's extra messy today.
Yeah,
anyway, Steam Next Fest is going on, so there are a couple there. But yeah, Sea of Stars is another one I really want to. The music is from, I think, the music from Chrono Trigger guy. So that's another reason why I've seen them play little 10-second clips. I'm like, all right, I really got to put a little time on that one. That one comes out later this fall. Remnant 2 is actually getting close. I'm seeing them promoting some stuff. I'm getting excited for that one. So there's a lot on the horizon. And then what was it? Immortals of Avium got bumped to the day of Destiny and something else. And then Armored Core 6 is 3 days after. I'm like, Immortals of Avium just shot themselves in the foot, which sucks. But other than that, yeah, June is towards the end, and I'm getting ready to turn 40 next month. So yeah.
You coming through. You coming over.
Yeah.
You transitioning.
40?
I mean, unlike you, I'm not already an old man, but I will get there next month. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unlike you, is that Ticuu?
No, that's to you.
For me,
Yo,
I'm
how
an
you
old
gonna
man.
do me like? How you gonna do me like this?
Dude,
Are you
I'm
referencing the
sorry.
senior in the?
Dog,
We know Ty Guy
you
Travis
you
is the
look
old man
you
at
look
heart of the group.
you look the youngest here, but
He
that's
does.
not fair.
That's easy.
Okay,
Yeah.
we all know
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson is like 87 and he looks like he's 42.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't
They
understand
just
it.
like have to touch up a couple parts for his new show, and
Yeah.
he's like, fine, the beard's totally fake.
Yeah.
Like they have to put
Crazy.
the grays in because yeah. I haven't actually started that yet. That came out today or yesterday, I think. Yeah, so playing a lot of games, watching the Twitter drama explode. It's been interesting. What about you, Travis? I know you're always busy. So what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm working on some game reviews. The FTC versus Microsoft preliminary injunction called a PI is happening in San Francisco. So I've been able to see that happen.
Lot of
which is cool.
messiness. Lot
Yeah,
of Jerry
I mean-
Springer dirt coming out.
It's, once we got through some of the opening of explaining what a game is, to the layman in the courtroom,
Man, that's gotta be painful.
it started to get it was just a lot of like them explaining definitions, and I forget how much jargon is in this industry, like even stuff like one of the developers at ZeniMax said QA, and then the person was like, huh? And I was like, wow, how do people not know what QA is? Like that's
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah,
Insane.
yeah, it was there's a lot going on. I've got a game review going live on Tuesday that I've been working on, and some stuff in the pipe I can't talk about. And yeah,
That's
chilling.
nice.
Playing
Chilling,
games.
chilling. Playing games, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, same for me. Just been in, obviously you watch E's video on Diablo, make some corrections to the way I was starting, the way I was doing things. I was doing things way too hard and getting a lot of
I mean, I think you did the exact same thing I did. You're like, Act 1, level 30. Oh, oops.
Yeah, and then I'm putting world tiers up for no reason. And I didn't do I had to do all my like specific sorcerer quests. I changed my whole build actually.
Yeah.
And I'm going like with this whole frost build right now.
It's crazy powerful.
Loving it. I'm loving it. I got this thing where it's like I'm all about like crowd control. So it's like anyone who tries to rush me, stop in your tracks. And then my ultimate is kind of like this thing where I like charge up and then kind of like explode into this frozen thing. I'm really loving. Yeah, I'm really loving. It's like a combination of Frost with Arc. So I've been doing that. Caught up on Destiny Story, which we will get into. But honestly, what's been keeping all my time is this baby right here. This is my baby. Rogue Ally. Destiny fans, I'm telling y'all right now, this is not, this is okay for a handheld. This is a full-fledged experience, baby. 120 hertz. I'm out here rocking and rolling. I got my my full experience, bro. Like, and the music is absolutely spectacular. So I've been testing all the storefronts on the Rogue Ally, but Destiny been getting a lot of play on that. I tried Diablo and they got to tweak a little bit of the settings there. And what I realized for them is pretty much anytime you're having any type of frame issues, just bump it down to 720, throw up AMD RSR or any type of kind of service like that, like FSR, and you can really get your frame rates up. So been doing Game Pass locally on that. I've been doing Diablo on Battle.net, Epic Game Store. I actually tried Destiny E. I've been playing it on Epic Game Store specifically just to see how that experience is. I was like, I want to know. Then I was like, I gotta buy all this again for the Epic Games Store. Are you serious? Like, you want me to buy
So
Shadow?
you bent the knee, obviously.
For testing purposes, I bought one. For testing purposes, I bought one. I ain't gonna lie, I did bend it because they had a sale. They didn't have a sale. So I was like, all right, but this is ridiculous. This is literally ridiculous. So yeah, I did that. And then it's just so dope. Again, not to make this anti-Steam Deck, but it's just so dope to have all the storefronts on the device, and the way this plays games is amazing. I will say that jank is still, they got to work on that Windows jank. But yeah, been loving it, been rocking. But yeah, what's going on in this world of Destiny? There's stuff happening, man.
Well, we have two places to start. Do we want to go story, or do I want to talk about kind of what you just hinted at with buying Destiny?
Let's do that. Let's do that
You
because
want to do that first, because that's kind of bubbling up in the community. Travis, all right, you're on the witness stand today. We would like to read back the past year of the Last Word podcast and Travis's comments. Yeah, so for whatever reason, and I was talking to Cog before the show, something bubbled up. I mean, it was Cross who put up the videos, like 35 minutes. I mean, he did combine everything very well. I thought it was a very kind of succinct compilation of the history of microtransactions and everything and the progression that it's gone through. He had the little Datto clip in the beginning. He's like, dude, why you gotta call me out like that? Because Datto made a video afterwards. He's like, dude, we gotta talk. Why you gotta do this? Because he had a little clip in the beginning saying, hey, if we ever get microtransactions and slippery, whatever it was in the beginning. But yeah, so it's all the finally people like put together everything that Travis has been saying, and we've been, discussing here for a while on the podcast. And it's not like we disagree, but we discussed it on the podcast, but Travis has been championing this one. So
Sure.
yeah, I don't know if you watched that video, Travis, or if you just kind of know it all by heart anyway. But yeah, what is kind of going on this week with the World of Destiny?
Yeah. I did not watch the video. I do not watch YouTube videos, just at all. But I got the summary. Somebody was like went through all of. I can't remember how I found this out, but like I found somebody that went through. Oh, I think it was Paul Tassi. He
Yeah.
like tweeted
Tassi,
while
that's what it
watching it, and
The
he was just
TLDR.
like, "Yeah, this, and this," and I was like, "All right, yeah, that's all the stuff I've been saying." So,
Yeah.
and I think I watched the first 5 minutes where he showed the Datto background, and I was like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's why people are bringing Datto into this."
Mhm.
And yeah, I think when Destiny first got announced for having microtransactions and it was all going to be cosmetic and all that stuff, I think we gave it a pass because it was at a very different point in the game and it's gotten progressively worse. And this is one of those things where, when people talk about the slippery slope, it's usually a fallacious argument. It's really always in structure, it's always a fallacious argument. It's meaning it is illogical to assume that if you do one thing, then B thing, C thing, D thing, E thing are going to follow. That's not a logical argument. But in this case, it's true. It did happen. Like all the stuff people were worried about, it just slowly kind of got etched away at. And so that's why people make slippery slope arguments, because they're afraid of a snowball effect. And in this case, it did happen. And I don't think we need to rehash it, honestly. Like we've been, at least me specifically, we've been talking about this on the show forever and
Yeah.
like about all the ways in which the model's bad. So I'm not going to bore our viewers with yet another rant against this, but needless to say, Astacross videos woke something up in the community that me ranting for 2 years couldn't do. And now
sorry,
the
our
community
podcast isn't bigger, man.
Yeah, I know. Too bad.
Yeah.
And people are finally complaining about it. And I say finally, not because I want people to be mean to Bungie, but I do think that if players don't push back, things don't change. And it's cool to see some big voices push back against it. And I hope that it gains the momentum it needs for Bungie to chill out with the microtransactions, or at least pick a direction, right?
Yeah.
If they're going to be a true free-to-play game, then be a free-to-play game. But monetizing in every possible way and getting into the somewhat pay-to-win arena that they kind of have started to get in with some of the season pass rewards and stuff like that. I think it's gotten a little out of hand, and I'm sure no one who watches this show is surprised to hear me say that. Because every single time they've added something, I've been like, that's too much. And yeah, I would just love get upset about it, speak your mind, don't be rude to Bungie, but yeah, I think this needs to happen.
Yeah. No.
Go ahead. No, you go.
Yeah, this was interesting to me because you sent us the you sent the video in the chat, and I shout out to Cross the homie, so he's been on Last Word before.
His team put together just a nicely edited video.
Yeah, very well done. I watched the thing from start to finish, and I think my first thing about it was like, okay, this is kind of what Travis and Last Word has been kind of preaching for so long now about the multiple monetization models, how Bungie has been really towing the line. See, Trav, you should have watched only for one thing though. You would have got your vindication on the classic U versus E argument on seasonal pass the ticket. Remember the event, bro. Like
talking about the event card.
Yeah, it was and the way Cross broke, I was like, yo, that's lit. We was talking about that like 3-4 months ago. That was a fun little argument on the show. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to see it broken down in such a way. And what really hit me, E, was Dado's video of the announcement of it, right? And putting us back in the time capsule and say, hey, if they ever
Little
do,
clip at the
and if
front.
it's ever pay to win, and and then as I've been playing, like, as something, what is it? The resonance thing that unlocks
the deep site resonance. And you
deep
can
soul
probably have a
stuff.
debate on if that's pay to win, because I think Dado was
Right.
even like, is that really? Because he's still going to go raid, get the weapons or whatever,
Right.
like if you're really going to do it. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's just like
Definitely
Right.
pushing it farther and farther and
pay to
farther.
have an advantage.
Yeah.
But exactly. But where I was vindicated, one of my past arguments was far as like the loot being the win, right? We're playing the game for the loot. And then now that the loot is being introduced, and like the way they talked about how the what is it, the exotic strand auto rifle that was part locked behind, and it, like just certain little things that you should see. It's just this consistent, habitually line stepping, right? And continuing to push the envelope. And then it's especially about the silver, the way the silver is
silver
allocated.
Pricing, that's got to change. Like that's truly intentionally not good, because they know it's like you buy 1,000, you get 1,100, and they intentionally, now granted, a 20% price bump for a season, that is a logical thing. But at that point, either make it purchasable outside the game for just cash, or make the silver match it, one of the two. However you do it, that needs to be done just for decency's sake, because if you don't do that, you're intentionally. And I heard, what is it, console, you can't buy the 1,000, you have to buy more. They said
you have to buy more on console.
So you have to buy $25 basically for a season, so then you end up buying 2. Yeah, it's the whole, I mean, splitting the dungeon key out of
separate purchases.
Yeah. And one thing that was really key was, like, again, something that we've been preaching. It's not Destiny's not free to play.
No.
It's a trial. It's literally a trial of a game where you're piecemealed, and then literally, Trav, you did the new light experience with your homie, and it's like the minute you do something, it's like, oh yeah, you gonna buy this now? You ready? You like? You had a little taste? Now pay for this campaign and pay for it everywhere you go. It's that. So yeah, it was pretty well done. I just thought that I guess my overall question, and I'll finish, is that what finally broke people? Because I was kind of okay. Yeah, I'm curious. Tell me, Trey, like what happened?
It's the 20% season pass increase. I honestly think that was it, because it was
now they're buying the new season.
It was the first time that people were forced to look at, like, okay, what does a 20% price increase get into encompass? And then I think that 1,200 silver or whatever it was they made it, I think that's what put people over, because they started looking like, okay, well, what is the model then? And I think once anybody who actually looks at the model can immediately see, like, wow, Destiny's a kind of scummy deal, like in just all the different ways they hit you. It just doesn't feel good. And to your point, it's not a free to play game. This isn't Fortnite. I expect it from Fortnite. How else are they going to make money, right? Like, it's a different game. Like, what's the ninja one?
Warframe.
Yeah. Warframe is a free to play game.
Yes.
You don't have to pay for the expansions.
Path of Exile. They have like $60 cosmetic armor sets, but like, if you play for like 6 months and you're like, okay, fine, I'll buy the cool armor set and support the devs. Like, that's a choice to do. This is, I want to buy to play the game. And then I also, if I want cosmetics, I need to buy those as well. But then if I want the event card, but then if I want the dungeon key, and I didn't buy this together. And it doesn't, the one thing they pointed out too, which we know the dungeon key is separate. We do. But somebody might be like, all right, so I'm going to buy the season pass for $12. It doesn't specifically say on that you need the dungeon for that. And then you get in, you buy that. And then you learn you still have to get the key as well. That's where like the separation, nickel and diming and stuff like that. And we've said this for a longest time. Like, I don't care if if they need to bump up the price for, say, the Final Shape, and they want to make Final Shape $120, I would buy it for the year. That's the thing for me. It's like, if I'm going to buy a year of content, let me buy the year of content. And it's like, if
what you're describing is what I call a stop bothering me edition of a video game.
No, that's the mobile version. Exactly. My friend calls
like
it the same thing.
Exactly. Like there should be a free to play. I'm an 8-year-old child who gets $5 a week for allowance, and I just want to be able to play cool games version to get accessible to people. You can have that, but then I want a version where I never have a pop-up, right? I never have them asking me to buy anything.
Ads version.
Exactly. Just please.
Destiny Premium.
I will pay you money to stop with this, just to give me the game that I want without bothering me.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that will never happen with Destiny is because they already have that version, and not only do you have to pay for it, but then they don't remove the stop bothering you part. They still bother you with everything else. Like if you buy that what is it, $100 version every year, that should be the shut up version, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's just where it starts. It's crazy.
No, it's real. And again, two more points I wanted to talk about, like you said, in reference to, the just like the Stop Bothering Me edition, where it's like, how come there's not just this, okay, I pay this and get, like you said, you get everything, right? But the other thing that, and a shout out, I think it was Grenaded Jake.
Oh, he went
right
off.
now.
He went way off.
PvP finally, the PvP community has had it. Because I'm gonna tell you what it is. They're seeing Marathon.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, bruh, like the off rip, you were born with all the things that we've been begging for, right? You got your dedicated servers, you got all this stuff, and it's just like, bro, we ain't get no maps and they're going off. And the disgust, and I think he had a really bad experience. He clipped.
Oh, just cheating again.
Yeah, with cheating and things of that nature in trials, and how's this person? And I get it. We've all had that frustrating moment, but it does go to show, like, when is the focus ever going to come back? Or like, is the new baby's here and we are the stepchild and that's it? And it's pretty unfortunate if that's the case, because the key right now, and I'll finish, is that I've never seen, shout out to Cross, because let's be real, for you to be a big content creator, to go hard at Bungie when you have access and you that's not easy. And I respect you, E, because obviously you're in that same, boat as far as, you guys do this full time. So to see the community get behind it and say, nah, no, Bungie, this is not it. It's very interesting to me. And I'm very curious, because my theory that I've always been saying is, it's hard to change behavior when you have success. And that's my fit. Is this going to be enough? Because unfortunately, in times of past, when we had go fast updates, when Destiny 2 vanilla bombed for a little bit, or when they had their down times, they had low engagement and they were incentivized to fix. I am still worried. How incentivized are they to fix this? Or are people really going to stop? That's the question right now.
I think so.
Let's go.
I think that a lot of the squeezing of pennies has had to do with the fact that they have a narrowing player base, because they talk about engagement numbers being high, and I think engagement is high, but I think the community is getting progressively smaller, and that's why they don't have incentive to fix things like price gouging, because their fan base is loyal and has a sunk cost fallacy, going on, where they have to get more and more in there. And also that's why they have no incentive to improve the new light experience, because I think this is a game where, they're going to try to keep it going as long as they can. I think after Final Shape, you'll see a resetting of that. I hope that they are thinking of it that way. But I think until now, it's like, keep that fan base as close as you can and charge them as much as you can until the end. Just milk it. And, not to toot my own horn too much, but I said before Lightfall came out that I thought this year would be Destiny's hardest year, because of what I saw coming, which was Lightfall kind of being an underwhelming kind of in between distraction until the actual expansion. And I think that's proving true. I mean, I know they had a ton of players when Lightfall came out, but that has to have dropped off significantly. And I think the fact that this season is as good as it is, I'm not saying it's amazing, but it's one of the stronger seasons, and players are still pissed, is a pretty bad sign to me. That tells me that
Plunder didn't even have this kind of reaction, and
no,
bubbling up under the skin coming up, which you figure,
they had a great dungeon.
Yeah.
They have some interesting new stuff they're trying. I mean,
get to the dungeon.
Yeah, fishing is kind of stupid, but it's like a new interesting thing, and they've got all this stuff going for them, and players are still kind of checked out. And I think that says a lot about how much wind came out of the sails with Lightfall. And I think this is going to be a really tough year. I have no doubt that once people start seeing Cade and cutscenes and Final Shape rolls around, if it is as good as I hope it's going to be based on how much time they're putting into it, based on the Witch Queen team, their A team working on it. If it's that good, I will be happy if they survive that, and I'm sure they will. But I'm worried about this year, man. It's still early, and we're already at like what feels like a very, very low point in Destiny's history. So
yeah, it's
weird.
No, I was gonna say it's just a weird place. Like watching the video, kind of seeing the progression of everything. It's like we mentioned transmog. It's like keep seeing more games like Diablo. You just get something. Outriders did it right, totally fine. Outriders has more modifiers going on. You got Diablo going crazy. Just seeing the recent examples of how things can be done right, and it's like, you know, Bungie could turn around and just say, "Hey, transmog, you've earned it before. It's there." They could just choose to make a change. Now, I don't know how they handle, like, if people have purchased that currency before, if they, like, refund them, or if you did that, it's just like a sunk cost. But it's like they could choose to make a change based on some of the other competition and see that's out there, but they choose not to. Like, I am going to be watching very curiously to see how long it takes for that silver purchase amount to change. Like, that's like, how long will that take? Like, or will it ever? And if it doesn't, that's just kind of a little bit of a slap in the face. It's like, not to any devs, but financially it doesn't feel good to anybody. And it's like, if you're like, and you know, when they talk about a new player experience, I mean, we've had the guys on, it was like, what, at the end of last year, a couple of Travis's friends, the nightmare of like, hey, I log in and you pop up, and then like, okay, so then I saw like 6 different cutscenes, and then I saw the Nez Cafe, but then I also saw the opening cut. What is happening? So it's like, I mean, when you talk about the new player like trying to get a new player into this game right now, as you said, if you need a soft reset post final shape to bring new players in, you need to make the experience palatable, because right now it's just like dry scooping, you know, protein powder, and just does not go down well. It's like, so it's just overall seeing it all, just, it was well organized video. So then you sit here and think through it. Travis has been saying this for a while. We've talked about and beaten most of these to death anyway. The pricing model, should it be a subscription? Should it be this thing? Do I just want the leave me alone edition, whatever it may be? But then I was like, they said, they, you know, kind of mocked up the legacy content into one other thing. It's like you have the Nightfall edition, and then you have all the old crap in one thing. I mean, I don't know if it was Dado in his videos, but I was like, I'm not going to tell anybody to go buy Shadowkeep for $25 or the 25th anniversary edition for $24.99. I'm like, no, 30th, sorry. It's like, I would tell no, even on sale. I'm like, no, you find that if it's like $6 on sale, maybe when it's on one of those crazy Black Friday sales, but most of the time it's like, it's hard to even tell anybody to spend the amount of money they ask for. Lump it all together.
Yeah.
This is, now again, when it comes to Eververse, that's just the way video games are right now. Marathon's going to do that. Fortnite's going to do that. And I understand some of that stuff's going to be there. Now, the event cards, the thing that I think would balance it out, they always have new armor in Eververse. And even the PlayStation 1 was more expensive. They said the price of that one went up, because those sets are now $20, I think, instead of 15. If there was just parity between what's in game and what's in Eververse, you can have cool stuff in game. Like, we got the dungeon armor, which kind of you have to pay for, but you got the dungeon armor, which actually looked cool. Looks like it fell out of Witch Queen, but it does look very cool. Yes. If you're going to have parity and stuff like that, like, hey, there's cool seasonal armor, there's this one, there's this. Like, if you have a balance of like artist over in Eververse, you get to go ham. Artist for the dungeon, you get to go ham. And they're both there. I could be on board with the Eververse for cosmetics, because some people just like, that armor set looks cool. And you can do things like Transformers and Power Rangers, which I know breaks Travis's thing. But if that's where they make their Eververse money to kind of like, you know, get outside of the realm, that's fine, but you got to put stuff in the game too. And I think that's the balance they've also missed for a while, because there's like the ship that I run around with right now looks like it should have been from Pit of Heresy, but I don't even know where I ended up getting that from. So it's just all that little stuff adding up. And but yeah, the pricing of silver, that's just egregiously bad to say. If you can't do it, and especially if console starts at 20, that's BS in my opinion.
So it's 5, 10, and then 25, but the 10 is
only gets you 11
silver short.
Oh, so you got to do 10 or 5, so it's 15.
You could buy 10 and 5 to 15 , but it's still 2 separate purchases, and like,
so there's no
you should be able to click on buy season, right?
You should be able to buy the season. Not buy this currency outside of the game, then go into the game and buy this.
This is another way that microtransaction games try to trick you, is they detach you from the reality of how much you're spending by developing their own currency. They go like, oh, it's just, it's silver. It's made up. It doesn't have any super obvious monetary value. Like
Mhm.
nobody wants to put $15 next to their thing. They just want to put this much silver because it detaches you from, it's like when people say 99.99 for
Yeah,
their
it's like
thing
sub
because they're trying
$100
to
for a
trick you
psycho.
into, it's not $100, but it absolutely is $100.
But that
Yeah.
also, like, I mean, I don't want to say it's as scummy as like EA and loot boxes, but
Right.
it's like when you're intentionally messing with psychology, you've typically got kids involved in gaming more often than not.
Mhm.
At some point, you got to know. I mean, gotcha games I know are bad. Like somebody said that in Gat. I
Yeah.
get something like Genshin Impact
Well,
and gambling. That's free to play, and then you're gambling, and
Genshin
that's
Impact is free to play. I don't love the model, but I think theirs is a fair trade. I don't feel like that game is scummy because I'm just thinking of like all this is free and they come out with a lot of content all the time. And
yeah.
I'm okay with a little bit of like scumminess if that's your model.
Mhm.
But when I pay $100 for your
Mhm.
game and then I still have to deal with the constant bombardment of this sort of stuff, it's just a bridge too far. Just pick a model. If you want to be free to play, be free to play. But by the way, this bleeds over into why I don't like the crossover armor. It just goes with the unpremiumness of the game, right? Like the fact that I now have people running around as Kratos in my game that I paid $100 for. It just makes it feel more. I call it the Fortniteification of games. Like I don't want that to happen.
Put that on your tombstone, Travis. Fortniteification.
Put notification
Northup.
games.
And I'm glad to see people coming around. Everybody join the dark side. Let's go.
With full-on
Look, I wanted to
lightsaber.
jump. I'll never go agree with Travis on the fortification part. Let people express themselves how they would. Listen, when that Michael Jackson joint dropped in, the D1 people was dancing in the town.
That emote sold so much. Like,
exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Let them have fun. But here's where I wanted to talk to you. I don't think we've talked about this, is that I've heard some things now. And we're talking about why it's so egregious, right? Why are they still doing these things? And the little, now I remember they even got like correct me if I'm wrong, they have like $100 silver thing. Like, they added a new silver bundle at the highest financial tier.
I mean, I believe
right?
it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. And then you can buy the ranks, right? You can buy the ranks.
You can buy the ranks. Yeah, you can buy them all.
The question I have is this, because what I heard some things and from trusted source where it was like, and this was kind of pre-acquisition, that Destiny financially is not making the money we think. And I'm curious because for them to hold on to these practices for as long as they've held on, and the fact that it's truly not free to play, is there merit behind? Now, again, we're not justifying corporate greed, but is there merit? But like they have to stick to this to stay above water in a post-Activision era. Because let's be honest, we got to be fair now. It's been how long since the Activision split from them? It's been a while since post after Forsaken. Like Shadowkeep was probably them on their own.
Shadowkeep was the first one.
Yeah, so Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, Witch Queen, this. Yeah.
Right. And to Cross's point, we got to be real now. We all vilified Activision as the evil overlord forcing them to do, not you, Trav. I know. You know what I'm saying? The evil overlord forcing, that was the talk. And now Bungie is free. The purity of Bungie is free. And and now that they've been alone since Shadowkeep on their own, they have proven to be worse than the monetization model. The only thing I feel they're better is they're not doing the exclusive. They've been more cross-platform friendly, right? But as far as a monetization model, correct? I mean, shout out to Austin. He says Activision is still way worse. Correct me. Let me know. Remind me.
Yes,
I'm not disagreeing.
What I want to say to that is that I think Activision was worse in some ways. I think
break it down because remind me.
One, I don't think that they understood what Bungie was trying to build with Destiny. I think they never forget that they were the ones who forced annual releases, who forced the Dark Below and House of Wolves.
Oh yeah, the combination joint. Yeah,
doing all this stuff. They were pushing Bungie harder than I think that they needed to, and I don't think they understood Bungie's vision, or they just didn't care because they were trying to be the business
Call of Duty business
on
balance.
Bungie. But I get it. The thing that people really overlook, and the reason I never vilified Activision, because I view Activision as they were bad in the relationship, but
Mhm.
you need that badness sometimes, because never forget, developers are artists,
Mhm.
and getting an artist to hit a deadline and
Yeah.
declare that their work is done is very difficult. You need a bad guy in the room going, hey, look, we're running a business here, right?
Yeah.
And so I
Mhm.
think Bungie was missing that during their indie days. I still wish they would have stuck with their indie days, because now their Sony days, my opinion on this is that they are so distracted as part of Sony. They're
Mhm.
looking at other games and advising,
Mhm.
and I'm sure people are going and working on other projects, and
Mhm.
there's all this stuff going on that we're not seeing, and
Mhm.
it has nothing to do with Destiny. And when
Right.
they went indie, they sold us a vision of the future with Bungie. They said, stick with us. It's going to
Mhm.
be lean for a while. It's going to be tough for a while, but we're going to come out on the other side, and we're going to be the strong independent developer. And then they waited like 2 years, and they said, actually, no, we're just going to sell out.
Right.
And I just, that I have a big problem with that. But Activision was sort of a bad X. They did things, they held Bungie back, I think, a little bit too much, and they held their
Mhm.
feet to the fire a little too much on
I get
certain
that part.
issues.
Mhm.
But they did a lot of things a lot better. And I think the fact that they gave them 2 other auxiliary studios to support them,
Yes.
that's
That
the main
helps.
reason.
The
That's
High
the main
Moon,
reason
High
that
Moon and
Destiny,
Vicarious. Yeah.
and that, I think that's the reason that Destiny is suffering, because
Right.
Forsaken was largely built by a studio that isn't Bungie, right?
Right.
Like,
And
and they did a great job.
yeah, my only pushback with an independent Bungie is that, to me, again, when it talk about monetization, pure monetization model, I feel they have been worse when it comes to, again, Prescott made a good point.
Pure
He was,
monetization,
yeah,
probably. Yeah.
yeah, like
I mean, it's just
that's all I'm talking
it's
about.
just
Yeah,
continued. Like whatever started, maybe Activision's like, hey, maybe we can do these things. They just keep pushing it. They
yeah, like they
keep,
keep pushing the line a bit,
yeah.
and my concern is, that's what I was trying to get to my overall point, was that, is it a result of you on your own? You know, when you move out of mom's house, you move out of dad's house, and then you start to see how much the electric bill
Oh
costs.
yeah, you get to
And
see
you
all the
start to,
bills for real.
right. So all of a sudden, like, it, again, not justifying the corporation, but like, is this the result of them having to justify trying to keep the lights on, because they don't seem to be willing to relinquish these practices as
Okay,
much
so
as
I
we
have to push
complain?
back a little bit on that, because
Mhm.
they built a new studio, they expanded it, they've been hiring like absolute mad. If they were pinching for pennies on this front, you can't
Mhm.
imagine that they're also trying to expand the studio on the back end substantially as
Oh,
well.
pre or post Sony? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
That
Because
stuff was
Yeah.
going on pre-Sony.
So that
okay.
was going pre, and they raised money to build themselves a new campus right before COVID. So
Mhm.
I think that the economics, there are lots
I
of
would
reasons
love to see
why
their balance sheet. Let's just say that. I
yeah,
would die to see that.
there are lots of reasons that they made the decision. I don't think it's all economic. I think there were economic pressures, but I also think that they, you know, it's just dollars and cents in terms of the directors wanting to get the payoff for building a successful company. You always want to sell your company eventually and get
Yeah.
that big payday. And so there was a dollars and cents of it. There was, the ability to take more creative risks. You get to do that if you're part of a large publisher. They probably did. They were hurt a lot by the Activision loss of 2 studios. Auxiliary studios, man, they're tough, especially how talented and
Huge.
familiar
They
with
had to
the
buy their
thing
own
they are.
IP too.
And then I think the last one that people don't talk about is probably the biggest one, which is, yes, they were hiring a lot, but they were hiring a lot to replace really, really veteran people at the
True.
company
Yeah.
who knew stuff about how the engine worked and about how developing Destiny worked. And they made a massive pivot internally. And my coworker, Rebecca Valentine, she covered a lot of this in the Fight for the Soul of Bungie article that she wrote a couple years back, where it documented a lot of kind of like the toxic personalities at the top of Bungie who
I
were
remember
either
hearing about the
pushed out.
narrative
Oh yeah, I
turpitude.
remember
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, I
They
do
they were
remember
either
that.
they were
Yeah.
either pushed out, or they were pushed onto other projects, and now we've seen that some people are working on other projects, and we know that other execs got pushed out. And so I just think that there's a lot of change. This is not the same company that made Destiny 1. It's not
Yes.
even the same company that made Destiny 2. It is a very, very different team,
Agreed.
very, very different philosophy. We live in a different landscape in the games industry. Do I think Activision was good? No. Do I think Sony is good? No. Do I think their indie that we got to see for the brief time we had it was great? No. I crave a future where they would have stuck with it and continued to be indie and figured out a way to make that work. But it's just, it's just a different company. It's really hard to pinpoint any one thing that got us where we're at.
My big thing that I was kind of like what you were saying, who's to blame? Like, are they trying to pinch pennies? At some point, there has to be someone, as like one of my friends has said this before, your Steve Jobs needs your Wozniak.
Yeah.
You got to have your creative vision who is like insane with the creative vision. Somebody has to be that person, but you need your Wozniak to be able to get it done. And it's like, and the same balance, kind of a different way to phrase it, but it's like for Destiny, it's like there has to be someone that speaks for how far do we push our players before we truly do push them too far, they don't come back. Like, I mean, whatever the quote from Diablo is, it's like everybody's going to leave your game eventually. I can't tell you how many times I see in chat in here that like I had friends that fell off from fill in the blank, and that's been going on for years. Like they get to a point, like your friends that tried it, they may try it and it could be a lot, or 6 months they're in, they're kind of hooked, but how many people stick with it? Like you got a couple of people that actually tried it and started. Most people who try it probably don't even want to like get 20 pops and be like, that is too much. So it's like getting new players in and then bleeding people on the other side, but you can't get like blood out of a stone. At some point, you're going to push your player base so far. And I know they're like, if you add the microtransactions, well, maybe they'll pay this, maybe they'll play this. It's like, at some point they need to do something on the other direction to build something back with the community and to build back for the player base. Because right now they're just continually, at least it looks like from the outside in, and that's what this video is going to make it look like for a while, is that everything Bungie does is money, 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 money. A lot of the time. We get cool things like a dungeon, one of the coolest ones, really fun to do. But on the other side, somebody who goes to buy the season doesn't know they don't include the season pass, and then you kind of pissed them off a little bit there. And then they don't want to go buy the dungeon key. Yeah, that does get them the dungeon and whatever, but right now in their mind, they're like, okay, I paid $12. Now I got to pay $20 more to do the thing that I wanted to do in the first place. And it's like somewhere simplification, ease, like, hey, we made transmog in there, simplify the like legacy purchases into just one lump thing and you always own it all. And we'll get into the cinematic, the fact that that thing might even be temporary because it's based on seasonal content from life. Like that's a whole different nightmare of like trying to have people understand what's going on. So it's like, yeah, we don't need to beat the dead horse that we've already beaten to death for like 2 years now. And Travis has covered it fairly well, but it is, I feel there's a point where you can only push your player base so far. There are other live service games that fail for a magnitude of reasons, but every so often I see Bungie's the one that's going to kill Destiny. And it's like, and you worry watching stuff like this kind of get summed up really quickly and everybody sees it like that. And you're like, it kind of could be. And that's kind of, you don't want it to happen. And I think they're safe enough now with Sony that they're not going to go anywhere. But it does worry me when you see just the path it seems like we might be venturing down. And I really wish they wouldn't. And I'm hoping again, like post-final shape, maybe we get a bit of a shift.
The final point I want to make about this year in Destiny, and the reason I think it feels particularly dire, is we have to remember that Bungie is like a charmed studio. They're like extremely lucky. Like it's uncanny. Right when they went indie and started entering the most difficult part of their life, because remember, they were fighting off like anthems left and right and divisions. And then right when they were at their weakest, COVID happened and no good games came out. And all of the big competition that would have cleared them out started failing, whether it was like Cyberpunk and like all these other games got canceled or delayed because of COVID. And that happened right after Shadowkeep. It was like the spring after Shadowkeep, like that February, right? So I guess still winter. And then it was Beyond Light fully in COVID, because I was doing Fireteam chat remotely at that point, I remember. And then the most recent 2 expansions. And this is the first year that Bungie is in a weak position and they have things that they have to compete against again. Because now you're starting to see some like big heavy hitters come out this year. Like I think the timing that they had such a week, because it was different when they did Witch Queen and then Elden Ring came out, right? Because it was like 2 great games and you could kind of juggle both because they weren't competing for all of your time. At least Elden Ring wasn't. And now they've got, on the heels of a really bad expansion, they've got a lot of good lineup of games, and a lot of them are live service games that are asking for all of your time. Diablo is an actual. I never would have thought Diablo would be a quote Destiny killer, but it's made a lot of people I know stop playing Destiny. So I don't, it's an interesting. I just think that the stars are kind of aligning to make this a particularly bad year for Bungie, and I hope they can handle it. I'm sure they can. They've got a parent company now; they'll be fine. But it's interesting.
No, it is. Only pushback I'll say is that I've seen we've been with this game for a long time. It's been 9, 10 years, whatever it's been. It's been a long time, and I've seen even Call of Duty at its height, Fortnite at its height was an extreme dominant force, taking away Destiny players a lot. To your point about Bungie being lucky and fortunate, I think it's a testament to still how good this gunplay is. It's still a testament to how good the skybox, the artists, the exotics, and the weapons, the way they feel on a cooperative level. So their core essence of what they do still keeps people. And even though the numbers, I don't know exactly what they are right now. I haven't looked at the Charlemagne bot, whatever it is, but I don't think it's as dire as everyone is thinking it is. I just think that it's not at their absolute peak. But also, we have to just be honest too. Like, we're veterans of this game. We've been playing this so long. At some point, we're in uncharted territory. For a game to continue to reinvent itself for this level, right? Now, granted, I know there's WoW and stuff that exists before.
I mean, that had its ups and downs too.
Right. So to me, it's the ebb and flow of the universe. Like you cannot maintain dominance for all those years, right? Yeah. So a testament to them that they figured out a way to keep reinventing themselves. But to your point, Travis, where I do agree, Diablo is extremely strong, right? We have a fantastic year. Like this, me and Maddie were talking about, like, this is one of those years that when it settles out, Tears of the Kingdom, Starfield, like, it could be one of those great, right? Survivor. So I do agree with you on that part. With Final Fantasy 16 just came out, right? So it's like
Spider-Man 2.
From gaming sphere, everything is coming together. And where I will say for you, I do agree with you, it is extremely critical that they get the trust back and deliver a good product post Lightfall. We all agree Lightfall wasn't it and felt like a side project / diversion. And now we can transition into where we are now with, season and this story. And what's the main thing? They did something amazing. And now people go, wait a minute, that's in the season. And that could go away, and we got this amazing origin story of a character that should have been in Lightfall that we all agreed, and now it's like, what is this going to be? Red War all over again? Like, we won't ever be able to see.
Yeah, they better not on this one.
Yeah, the reason I was saying that they got lucky, Cog, is just because like all the years Destiny hit, like Forsaken was like an all-time great year for Destiny, right? And that came out 5 months before Anthem. Right, so like they were at their strongest to defend against like Anthem, and they were, I think, Taken King was like the division, right? Like they just had like really good year, and then right when they had weak years was like a patch of years where like nothing was coming out, or it was coming out half baked. Like that's what I'm just saying is like this is the first time
they've been fortunate.
Yeah, I feel like they've been fortunate. This is the first time where I feel like Destiny's been down and other games have really been up, and so I feel like they're in a uniquely kind of like precarious situation. Not that they're gonna die; they'll be fine, but it's just very
I see your point.
It's precarious. That's all.
Yeah, it's so many. I think just gaming as a whole is just so good right now. Like everything is popping right now. Yeah,
I don't even know how I'm going to play it all.
Yes,
I'm also like I want to go put time into a little thing called Forza Motorsport.
Yeah,
Spider-Man. Starfield has me intrigued. I don't have no idea how much time I'm going to be able to give to that one, and as it's so close to Destiny, I'm in trouble as well. Spider-Man at least is like October later, so I'm like, that feels like a decent, Destiny window for me. What was it? Super Mario RPG is now November. Sea of Stars, I think, is like September. There's a lot of stuff right now, and this is the point where like we're doing all this, then Bungie is going to come out and go marketing. Shout out to Teddy. I was talking to him a little bit. Bungie is going to go trailer marketing for Final Shape. They're going to start that train, and some people are going to forget. Some people are going to be hyped. And I really do. Oh, I know. It's like I really do hope Final Shape can deliver. But as Forte said in chat for his $5 super chat, Bungie is fortunate to keep the player base they have.
Yes.
I'm only staying on the grind to see it end. Final shape will be the final harbor for me. And that is the point where, like, this is the 10-year saga you promised. If there is something beyond that of which they say Destiny 2 will continue, in what fashion, way, shape, fashion, form, what consoles, expansions, seasons, what will be... Oh, because, I mean, there's probably going to be a $100 thing of final shape. We all assume there's going to be seasons for that. Don't know how that story is going to go, but it's going to be there. But what is, like, year 11? What is that? And I think that's... If they can't sell anybody with final shape and make us, like, have a want for year 11, yeah, you're probably going to drop Marathon that next year, but you can't just have Destiny go and then go Marathon. That's not how that's going to work for that studio. So I am, again, final... I mean, it could.
You know why I say it could? Is because people said that exact same thing about Halo. You can't just do that with Halo and then go off and make this other game, and then they did, and it was like as big as Halo. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
fair.
Yeah, I just you can't underestimate Bungie. It's a very different studio today than it was back then, but I still think like I wouldn't bet against Bungie.
Yeah,
whatever they're gonna do next.
No, I mean, I'm not saying Marathon could be Marathon. I mean, if you take somebody like who's I trying to think of? Like, well, Apple will take like a device and usually like polish it up or make it like their magical thing that like hits the market and they kind of do it right. I mean, granted, VR sets is a thing, but Marathon also took the wind out of the sails for PvP for a lot of people when they heard the dedicated servers another thing, and they're like, and then, you know, they're going to potentially, I've heard 3 maps are in development. You have, you know, the dedication on that one. And again, we get 1 map in a year. Most of them are reskins. A lot of the weapons and seasons are reskins and stuff. It's there is a lot that when people, this is the type of video that makes everybody think.
Yes.
And the deeper you dig, the more you peel back the layers of the onion of what you're actually getting, what you're paying for, what's going on in the game, how much is not coming or not being delivered. It's like, yeah, we're potentially going to get a map next season. That's our 1 map for the year. And then you got something like X Defiant that's like 12 maps in a year. And I'm just like, whoa.
Real quick to interject, because that's what's so frustrating about the PvP negligence. It's like you have the answer right there in front of you. In the darkest times of D1, when Trials was Trials, right? The way we really know it to be, it saved Destiny during a content drought, so to speak. You have that active PvP player base. If you fund this thing, and I really hope that is on the docket in a future state of Destiny, like what is going on? You cannot, that's the beauty thing that Cross said in his video. Like, you literally have PvP players paying for something that 90% of the game is supporting and developed for PvE. Like, it's really egregious what they've done to this community. And to me, it's like, when is that going to ever be a priority? And it doesn't, as of right now, doesn't seem to be any signs of that.
Will be.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. And that's why there's the vitriol towards Marathon from the PvP community. Because it's like, damn it, we've been telling you we've been wanting all these things for us, but then you give it to the new addition to the family. And it's sad. It's pretty sad if that's going to be the case.
I feel pretty bad for PvP mains.
Yeah, like the Grenadier Jake one hit.
I'm not
hit
one.
me.
I mean,
I'm not a PvP main, but if I were, I'd be pretty upset.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a rough place right now. And then as we were talking about the seasons, we also got a really cool beat in the season this week. So I was like, we can kind of jump into that one. Bife's made a couple videos on it, but the first one he made is, this is a great cinematic. This is a great origin. This is really cool to see. The big question is, one, this could have like changed so many people's opinions about the expansion we just got. The answers about the Veil, the understanding more about the Witness, the big giant villain we don't know anything about. If you had this thing on like mission, I don't know, 5 or 6, somewhere in the middle, you're going through and be like, all right, we've heard this stuff. What do we know? And now, granted, I don't know how you write in to have some, because like Asa's the delivery of this, or however Asa knows this information, I don't know. But I was like, if there was a vehicle for delivery for this information that they could write in, which or they could figure it out, it would have changed our thoughts about this one. Callus still would have been kind of a chump in the whole thing, but the Witness would have had even more gravity and weight, knowing what we know, than the gravity of, you know, the pyramid ships coming in, then you got the Traveler, and then they face off the big beam, and I'm like, the Gardener. So much more would have been clarified for everybody who would have seen all this stuff. But basically what we got the understanding of what is the witness. We now know 5 weeks into Season of the Deep, 4 months after the expansion of Lightfall, we now know what the villain of Lightfall is all about. And the villain of Final Shape as well, but it's actually a cool cutscene. We got to know that there was a race of people out, nomadic, whatever. I was listening to Bife's video today. That could have been called the Eldritch, who knows? And the traveler kind of starts to rise out of the desert, pretty much. And so then they kind of go through their golden age, but then they're trying to understand, like, they're in a golden age, and then they're like, what do? We don't have purpose. And then they learn about the veil. Then they want to go find the veil, bring it back, combine it with the traveler. Traveler's like, hell no, I ain't doing that.
Traveler's
I
out.
was like, I'm out, deuces. And then it's like, so the race of people use the power that they learn from the veil, which is the source of the darkness and all that stuff. They use that to basically combine themselves into this witness, is what we call it. But now you see all those little, like, faces and heads and stuff. And
Now
it's a
it makes
combination.
sense.
Exactly. Now, could that be a giant retcon of what we got? Who knows? But I mean, it is definitely at least there's something to that story now, so we understand where it came from. And then at this point, we now know why. It's like, okay, so you were like the source of our golden age. We were trying to bring forward the final shape. And I think it almost gets into, as like Bife was saying, like the final shape would basically them going back to the start of time to remake the universe like the way they wanted it to be. So that would be the final shape would be what they wanted. So that's kind of their end game, is literally remaking the entire universe from the start of time. And if that's the case, it's like, yeah, that's some pretty grand stakes. Now we know why it's a big deal. Going through the Traveler, this is kind of a thing. So it's like, it's a cool cinematic, about 4 months too late. So I kind of wanted to get your takes on this one. Cog, you're kind of...
Yeah, no, it was excellent. I really liked it. Again, very unfortunate that this was not in Lightfall. Extremely unfortunate, because again, it would have given us the stakes, the reasoning behind why the witness is doing what it's doing. And this whole, ancient species, before, and obviously, the traveler coming through as a terraformer, bringing life, cultivating things, building up your civilization. Then we get context with the veil. Finally, the context that we've always wanted. What are you? What are you doing? What is this whole thing? And I think it's very interesting. I think on paper now that I have this information, this makes the final shape an interesting story. The question has just been the execution. And now it's a matter of, okay, trying to... Basically, what I got out of this is who betrayed who? Because is the traveler... I'll say noble is the word. You know what I'm saying? Like
I mean, that's all a source of perspective at that point of who is good and bad, right and wrong. It's like, is the traveler truly the source of good, or is it a source of, theoretically, as they thought, maybe chaos?
Right. Because if you remember when the witness in Lightfall came, when he was talking to the traveler, before he entered the traveler, it was like, no more of what you've been doing. Obviously, now with the extra context of his humanoid race, and it kind of makes more sense now, because I never understood that verbiage before he walked in, and it was like this conversation to the traveler, like we are not going to allow this, almost like you're the villain, you're the problem, you are doing these things. And I thought that was interesting. So it's a little bit more context. I thought it was cool. Yes, it's very late. You know what I mean? And yes, I'm worried when the season goes away, we can't.
That's the other question. Yeah, that's brought up. Is this seasonal content? Is this a permanent thing that they start? They need some kind of archive if this stuff doesn't stay around.
Bro, they need that Mass Effects codex with the dude. The veil is remember Mass Effect when you just read it, Trav, and it would break. They had that dude that had that narrated. They gonna need something. But anyway, I'm curious what Travis thought of this thing of the cinema, this whole situation.
Yeah, I think that not only was the cutscene late, it also wasn't good. I think it was bad. I think if you were to create the most generic explanation for all the very obvious questions that players had after playing Lightfall, this is the exact cutscene you would create. it feels incredibly shoehorned with the veil. Like, importantly, we still don't really know what the veil is. Like, we now know where it, like what it originally was used for, but basically the only explanation we get in that cutscene is they found the veil which was linked to the Traveler, and then they brought it and tried to merge it. That is not an explanation of what it is.
No,
Y'all
like,
feeling
but,
it?
like, it's
It
honestly
really is
fair
not.
because we don't truly know if the Traveler was just like resting under the surface of this planet and then it started to rise. We don't know if like their
I don't
hopes
th-
actually
that
brought it around.
that wasn't what I got from that. I got from it that like the Traveler was just chilling on their planet like he was on Mars. That was what I got out of that one. That
Yeah, I
he
couldn't
just, like,
quite
came
get
to
that
one.
clear. Like, I don't know if like
Yeah.
their source of like hope or something like created it in the desert, but also is like it could have just been chilling there or whatever, and then it may have
Don't
found
give them
people
that
it thought
much
was
credit.
worthy. Again,
Yeah, I
They
love
this is a half-baked explanation. I don't know. From what I know of game development, I don't think that they made this quickly. I don't think they made this like in response to people's questions about the veil, but it sure sounds like somebody was given the assignment of, hey, we just came up with this idea called the veil that we're going to shoehorn into Nightfall, and I need you to come up with I need you to include it in the origin story for the Witness. And then they gave the Witness a backstory, which is incredibly unsatisfying to me. It does not make me afraid of the Witness or feel like they are an interesting character. They're an amalgamation of a race of people that we have as of yet never interacted with or known. It comes completely out of left field, and it doesn't explain a lot of the questions we still have about, okay, well then he got the veil, so he did merge it. So is the Traveler now part of the darkness now? Like, what, I am very, very disappointed in this. And I'll just say this anecdotally. I watched this thing. I told my fiance who plays Destiny casually with me. I told her, hey, apparently there's some crazy cutscene in Destiny this week. I'm gonna boot it up and see what's going on. And she watched it with me, and her first words to me were, "Well, that was dumb." Like literally, she said that. I was just like, and I was kind of like, "Yeah, I agree with you. I don't really get that." And then she started asking me questions, and I started explaining my understanding of the Destiny universe a little more. And the deeper we got into it, I was just like, yeah, it's stupid. I like, this is what we were waiting for so long. If it were me, I would have,
I was about to ask you, how would you have told it, since you clearly did not like this cutscene?
Yeah, I would have made it less about, like, obviously the Witness matters as a character, but I feel like it's completely detached from our story as Guardians. It doesn't feel like it feels like Destiny's answer to every question that's ever been asked in the game is, well, once the Traveler helped them out and then he dipped. Like, that's like, think about it. That's like the Fallen. That's what happened. The Hive. That's what happened. It's just like constantly that story. And so this is like, hey, it's another group that the Traveler begrudged and they want to meld him with the darkness. But also, guess what? The darkness isn't even a bad thing anymore. At this point in Destiny lore, the darkness is like a good and natural balance on the light. So maybe the Witness is right. You know what I mean? Like, there's
That's what I got from it.
Yeah,
that's what I got. That's the part.
Yeah,
that's me.
I got that maybe the Witness is right, and also like doesn't seem like that bad of a guy, and it feels like a retcon of a lot of what Destiny has been about, because it feels like a kind of a 180 on like a lot of the messaging we've gotten. And clearly these were written by different teams, and I think Destiny's story has just been bent over the years until it just like, it really is it's just a string of retcons where they're just like, now this is true, now this is true, and they're trying to kind of make it make sense. But just when it comes from the veil, inclusion of the veil, and lack of explanation for what that is,
I'll give you the
an
veil.
origin story that doesn't really scare me about the Witness, questions about whether or not the Witness is right, and maybe how that is an unsatisfying conclusion to the whole us being the good guys story that we've been telling ourselves for all these years. Just all these things kind of came together to just be like, I'm glad we got your answer. It's better than no answer, but I don't like your answer. It's unsatisfying to me, and I wish you wouldn't have told it this way, and I wish you would have had a better answer for me. And I don't think it's on players to come up with a better answer, but I was not happy with the one that they gave me, and maybe that's why it wasn't in the story. Maybe that was why it wasn't in the campaign. It didn't make the cut. I don't know, but yeah, man, I'm kind of bummed out by this. It's not, to me, it's not a very strong start to get the final shape off to, right? Like, this is essentially the beginning of the final shape is the way I'm thinking about it. this and the Cade cutscene. The Cade cutscene, I think, was a strong start because that gets everybody hyped up. But this is like the one thing I will say about this, when I watched the cutscene, my first thought was, okay, so the Witness wants to remake reality. What a great kicking off point for Destiny 3.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Now you getting back
was-
to where I'm at.
So that was the one thing that I get it. But look, if you're looking so far ahead that you're already thinking about Destiny 3 and not worried about if the final shape is going to be good, I have a problem with that. You know what I mean? Like the final shape needs to be good. If you don't get the payoff for this story of 10 years, it's going to suck and it's not going to make you excited for what comes next. And so I think they have to nail this. And this did not satisfy me as a kicking off point. So I'm kind of bummed out, man. And the fact that you and others were praising it, I was just like, maybe I'm weird, but I was super
You're not weird. You're not
this
weird.
cutscene left me flaccid as hell, y'all. And I'm trying to stay hard out here on these streets. You know, Cog knows.
So yeah, I was like, no, but like everything you guys are saying is valid because when you sit there and like, I thought it was kind of cool, but yeah, when you sit there and think, what is the origin? We really don't know. It came out of the desert. They went to go find the veil. We still don't know. It's like, you know, are they two sides of a different coin that got divided and bringing them back together as a way to, as you said, kind of reboot the universe or find a change to an alt? Who knows like what that is. It's also weird this season to think about everything else related to the season. Like we're getting the stuff from Asa about the history of the Witness, getting a little bit. And then this one, like all of those, because Bife did a good kind of breakdown of the, like, you know, possessed voice moments and kind of how those link into the cutscene. But on the other side, we've had all this like over voice dialogue and Xivu messing with all of the NPCs. And then now if you do this exotic fish thing, like you're going to get another line from Xivu. It's like Xivu has been there as like kind of the vocal part, but then we're getting this history of the Witness, which is also kind of splitting our focus for the season.
Okay, I see where you're going.
And we have one more week. It is a 6-week season by at least Triumphs. Right. Granted, epilogue aside, if they do that again, but there is supposed. I mean, this was supposed. So what is this? The climax, and now like week 6 is like, all right, now we wait for about 8 weeks until everybody's ready to do the next thing in season 22 on August 22nd, which we know that's going to be the final shape showcase. That's going to be all the other stuff, and maybe we'll get more of an idea then. But right now, it does feel like, okay, so we know more about the Witness. Xivu's just angry and just, you know, you hear Saint either talking to Drifter or Sloan, and you hear Saint talking about it's like Osiris, you know, was basically baited into something he couldn't win, and it's the power of Xivu. It's like Xivu does seem like a valid threat as well. So I wonder where she's going to fit into this whole puzzle. And again, that's still a question. Even if like the campaign for Final Shape is 12 missions long, which still probably going to be 8, but like it's just weird to think where all of these little dominoes are going to fall because the fact that next week is going to be like the end of the season feels weird because we get the big one now, and they tend to do it like the week before the end, but it does feel like I don't know what you're going to talk about next week. Then I definitely don't know what you're going to do next. So no, I mean, when you guys dig down deep, it's like, could you be looking farther into the future for like a D3 reboot? Or as you said, I was like, I mean, I don't know if they would ever do D3, but if they can do some kind of like wipe the D2 slate, and now we're going to do like something going forward, they probably do want to, they've got to be considering that because I think also when you look at people have said like reskinned weapons and all this other stuff of what's going on, like what is the future of Destiny? It's like, how many more spare rations? Am I going to get another one in 4 years or something? It's that kind of moment where they need to find some reason to reinvigorate people to try and get into this game. And outside of the new player experience needing a big giant whole bunch of work, you still need to have a reason. You can't bleed players forever. Otherwise you're going to have like, you know, 8,000 people live on Steam playing, you know, year 14 of Destiny or something like that. Like that's not how you want the saga to go out. It doesn't feel like it's worth it. So again, what is it going to be that gets us there? Yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, Travis probably has a pretty good point. I just thought it was cool to see this thing in game just because it was something as opposed to the little like possessed Sloan moments, which were kind of those were cryptic. Like those were
I get it. Something is better than nothing, but I think
I mean, yeah, it's a low bar
Destiny
when I'm getting
players. Destiny players have a bit of Stockholm.
No, that's
right?
fair. I'm not arguing that one either. So it's that kind of, I think, mentality. Like, it was cool to see the cutscene because the Sloan stuff is really cryptic without context. You're just like, okay, she's crazy lady. Great. Helpful. But I mean, it's like, she's not, because like the connection between her and Asa is not that strong. So it is coming through in pieces. I get I get how it's told and I get why. But then when you do finally get some context to it, that feels a little better now. But we are still lacking a lot of story that I guess is going to get told over the course of this year. But I mean, as Bive said clearly, it's like, if all of this stuff is told over the course of this year, then you rip it all out of the game. You are doing injustice to this like finale. And that's going to be the big issue over
I don't think they'll do that. I think it'll stay in the game in some way. They'll make it available, or
a lot of they need to somehow.
They'll stick it into the opening, because there was a separate opening for new players in Lightfall that explained leading up to Lightfall. So they'll do something like that, I'm sure, catch players up. But yeah, I just wish it was a better answer.
I feel. I mean, like I said, just different perspective. For me, I've looked at it as Lightfall was the the MacGuffin, and just trying to force things out there with a team. They've got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of story threads that still have to complete. But for me, I crave information on the Witness. As a person who plays this game for the lore, I do like getting beats. Now, could it be presented way better, cinematic, whatever? Absolutely. I'm never going to be like, okay, this was the definitive way to do it. This is the best way. But I thought it was interesting. I think for me, the main thing now is how the chess pieces move. And we have Sloan, which this story's been a little interesting as far as like, she's been through all this trauma. What's going to happen? And I don't know about y'all. Like, I'm getting the vibe like she might not survive. I don't know. Maybe I'm off on that. We'll see.
I wouldn't put I wouldn't go all in on your bet that she's gonna survive. I could see it going either way. I could see either the connection with her and Asa somehow either kind of resolving her coming to some status of homeostasis, but I could also see the Taken not going so hot, and I could see both.
Right. She literally is infected with the Taken. Look, my thing right now is they are foreshadowing with Saint, especially in Saladin's conversations. These are things that I'm liking. And for the people that are very down on Destiny right now, and rightfully so. If y'all not feeling it, I respect that. I'm always about the character development. To me, right now, we got Saladin, who's a grizzled, scarred veteran himself, trying to reassure this woman to go on forward. Right? We got that. Then they got the next thing with your boy Drifter, who, let's be honest, has been this aloof, cracking jokes kind of person who ain't really, seem to be taking things serious, now trying to be more invested with Saladin and the whole bit. So to me, each of the characters, they trying to set them up for this moment. The key is now the execution. How are they going to set them up? How is this all going to be in relation to the Witness and his history? And how are they going to stop the Witness? That's my main focus.
As long as Sloan isn't like flooded out,
right?
Kind of the way Holiday was blown up or something. Like,
don't do that. Yeah. Don't do that. So that part, I just want to see how the chess pieces link, and if they pull that off post Lightfall, which I did not like, at all. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. We'll see where it follows up. If there's an epilogue, we'll know that in another 6.5 weeks or something like that. Travis?
Can we agree that if this is all the explanation they give us of what the veil is, that they did not explain?
Oh,
the
yeah,
veil?
100%.
I have a feeling
of course.
If that's all we
get,
if
they be like, yeah, we did it, finished. All right, you got it now, right?
I feel like this is all they had planned. Did anybody else get
nah.
that? It was like, oh, they detected that it was somewhere out there, and they tried to bring it and merge it with the Traveler, and then we know Savathun stole it. So I'm looking at a Bungie story narrative team like brain and thinking like, so they gave it a kind of an origin, how it got to the planet that it's on. Like, I feel like they did all the stuff they think they need to do.
So disrespectful.
No, it's like, if that's all
I think that's all you're gonna get, dude. I really do.
If that is all you get,
right,
unless there's like something in lore books or something somewhere that I don't know about or I don't skip over, I hope we do get. I do hope the next 2 seasons give more to this relationship between the Witness, Traveler, the Veil. They need to build on this. This is a decent, this is a little bit more than this is what we should have had in Lightfall. Yeah. But I also feel like going into facing the Witness, we have had more build up over Oryx. We've had more buildup over Savathûn. And if the Witness is the end of this saga, they need to continue to build on it. This can't be, we can't do Season of the Haunted and get like backstories for other characters. We continually need to focus on these main players of what we're facing. The Traveler, the Witness, the Veil. That needs to continue to be the focus. And you can have, you know, side piece characters like the Drifter and Sloan and Zavala and Saladin, and all those help tell the story, however they do that. But the focus still needs to be there because you have to build to that one. And if they don't, as Travis said, no, that's hopefully this
where I
is,
agree with
this is not.
where I agree with Travis is what Data Butcher said. The problem is why it's not hitting the way it should, especially is they're telling the story backwards. Like this should have all been ahead. Like that we getting it so late and after the fact, and now they put more pressure on themselves to execute. So I understand his frustration. I understand.
That's what a retcon is.
Yeah.
Retcon means retroactively convenient. Like it's
And we have to admit, Trav, not to cut you, Destiny's existence has really been a retcon from the day Destiny was created.
No plan.
I mean, year one was
from the moment the head of Bungie said no to that original Crow storyline and they changed everything and then rewrote it. I do believe at some point there was a plan, but I think that ended the moment that they got rid of all of those troublesome execs that they're talking about, the problematic executives. I think that changed, and you can see kind of the tonal shift in the story and how they're kind of making things up as they go and pitching things freewheeling. I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think like we have to be realistic as fans. When they introduce something like the Veil, you know that ended up on the we need a MacGuffin to explain why he would go to this new planet out of nowhere. And I think that's all this explanation is going to get, because the last shape, the final shape is not about the Veil, right? I don't think they're going to talk about it anymore. I think that's it. I think he did the thing. He merged the darkness with the Traveler. Now we've got the triangle in the middle, and then they're going to go off and tell their story. And I think that's it.
Oh
no, you're right. Like, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I don't know how much more you want to keep going. Here we go.
But this is the last thing that's going to be finished. No, I agree with him, and I think that where it's frustrating, where Travis is right, because we agree that Destiny as a whole, just them putting this together after all these pieces were just a mess, and trying to figure out who's what, and the darkness, and everything was the darkness in the beginning. Remember, it was all over the place in the beginning. D2, I think the frustration is D2 narratively finally started to streamline all this stuff, and we were getting into a good place. And I think Witch Queen was that culmination of, okay, we're here, this is refined, and the Lightfall put us back to D1 lore energy, where we were just like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like, where are we at with this? Now, I don't know if that's the team shift, which we talked about, where it was like, a whole bunch of new faces, which Travis, brought out when he was reviewing, Lightfall. He's like, hey, this ain't the kind of the veteran, and I don't know what shift internally happened at Bungie that we didn't get the veterans to continue that what we loved. We got this, and now it's like catch up. Now it's like fill in the blanks and try to steer the ship back right. And that's what we gotta see how this thing plays out. But that's my final point. I'm sorry.
Again, we'll just have to see if they can literally land the ship in the final shape.
Yes.
That being said, we also got a start of a quest. It seems, or at least most people in the data miners will probably tell you that's definitely kind of a start of a quest. I don't know how it's going to finish. I don't know if we're actually going to get an exotic mission to go on. We will find out that one a little bit later. But it does feel like right now the exotic quest is tied to fishing. So Bungie's little nudge for everybody to fish this week was, hey, there's the fishing rally, and currently it's on the Throne World. And then they really let the cat out of the bag when they're like, hey, that exotic fish that was supposed to be dropping on Tuesday wasn't quite doing that, and now it's fixed. Thanks Bungie help. So we are at a point to where and this is kind of the issue that I have with it. Fishing is a little on the frustrating side because you're always trying to get that progress bar up, and by the time you get it up there, unless you just have like 8 people on one fishing thing, the public event always comes around and ruins it, which I still hate. I was like,
so annoying.
It's just like, if I do want to sit there and fish, I don't want it ruined by a public event. Just let me fish.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even love fishing in the game. The fact that I did as much as I did, I think today, kind of surprised me. But then you have to try and get an exotic fish, which does feel RNG, because I'm sure it is very much literally coded to be RNG. So you're going to have somebody like 2 Tuesdays from now, when this thing comes out, that's going to go to whatever the final destination for fishing is and catch it in 5 minutes. And somebody else is going to be, but dude, I've not caught an exotic fish in an hour. And people are done with this exotic quest already. And it's going to be, and that still boggles my mind a little bit. It's going to take you into deep dives. I literally can go in there and interact with a statue. I knew when I went and like found the first plant or flora in there, I was like, oh, hive statue. We're probably going to do something with that later. And then there's 2 more in there. So of course we are. And you can go interact with it. You get an interesting little Zivu line. And then we wait. So now we have a time-gated exotic quest that starts on week 5. That is time-gated and it is through fishing RNG. Thoughts? That good?
Look, I had no desire to be fishing, bro. I'm not gonna play a game to just sit there and then, like you said, you know what's my biggest frustration? Why I gotta have this meter? Why I gotta have this meter there? 8 people gotta be here, and then I come in the instances and be like 1 or 2 people dip. That is I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm gonna be real. I don't have no desire to be fishing in Destiny. If you want to do that for the people that love it, shout out to them. This is not for me. I'm a little low key disgusted when y'all told me in the chat that a quest came out, and I'm like, oh, I did see that. I thought that was just more credit for fishing.
Well, I think the fishing rally is a nudge for Bungie to be like, you should probably go fish.
Bro,
probably should.
They're biting. It's hot the fish meter. Like fix the meter or eliminate it. Let me just get in there, do my thing, toss the fish into
You don't like
the thing.
fish frenzies?
I'm not a fan of them. They're biting. I'm not here for this, bro. I want to shoot the guns. Where's the gun shooting at?
You fish with dynamite in the lake? Is that what you do?
Yeah. I'm happy it exists. For those, shout out to Jess Gordon, Windows Central. He loves any game that has fish.
Oh, I heard him ask about that.
He asked us Starfield, kind of funny. It was hilarious, right? I get it. It's a cool, goofy thing.
Is there fishing in Starfield?
No.
Did they confirm?
Not confirmed.
Not confirmed. No fishing.
Right now, at least, maybe later.
At this time.
Good. Yeah, I heard somebody describe that game as irresponsibly large in court today. So I don't think it needs fishing.
I love that.
Irresponsibly large. I mean,
that's what Todd Howard described it as. He said it's an irresponsibly large game.
It's 6-7 years in development, however long it was. Yeah, it's gonna be big.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. And see, the chat is hilarious. Toss arcades in the hey, look. How do you feel about fishing, Trav? Maybe I need some positivity from Travis.
Oh no, it's ass. It is a complete waste of time. Yeah. Look, I get that they added it and it's silly. If it were 100% optional and didn't have anything tied behind it.
You put a seal behind it, you make it like a goofy fun thing. If somebody wants to fish in an MMORPG.
Yep. Go for it. But the fact that this week I felt like I had to because somebody told me that it might be tied to an exotic quest and I had to go and find some. I found it, by the way, and I got that sword blade thing and I put it in a statue.
Broken Blade of Strife.
It didn't seem to do anything when you put it in the little.
There's supposed to be a Zivu line that's probably pretty short, and then
I got the Zivu line.
Yeah, and that's it for now. That's all you can do this week.
Okay.
And then next week it's going to be another fish until you get an exotic.
I could have left that activity after?
Yep, probably.
Damn it. I did the whole thing just in case.
You probably got a deep dive done for the week. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the fishing is designed pretty poorly. It's not entertaining. The group activity element of it, I didn't even really understand what was happening until it was too late. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm supposed to be doing this with other people, which is weird. And then the payoff of I will say the payoff of putting it in your tank is the only thing that I think is interesting. It's like, okay, it's cool that you can see them around and that sort of stuff. But there's obviously better fishing mini games, and I'm amazed that they put it in the game. It makes me like the season more just because it's silly and stupid.
It's unconventional for a Bungie season for sure.
Yeah, it's goofy. I will say this. You know, my favorite thing in this whole season, I actually love the deep dives. I actually like the idea of feeling like the BioShock thing. You know what I mean? Like you feel like the big. I like that, and you get the bubble, and you feel the sound design is so good with the crackling. Oh my god! Like you feel. I salute Bungie. You pulled off a
Fife
thematic.
Is there sweating every time he plays deep dive.
Yeah, like I like that. But other than that, I'm here for the lore and to see where this gonna go. The fishing is goofiness. I'm always gonna appreciate creativity, but again, not to be tied to an exotic, and now I gotta.
Yeah, to make it, how did only Bungie could make a fishing minigame grindy? Unbelievable, man. I can't believe that they found a way to do that. They threw RNG and they kept their legendary and exotic model in fishing minigame. Come on, bro.
He ain't lying.
You just broke Cog. That's too funny. He's like,
he ain't lying, no.
Dude. It's like they missed the loot cave and they were like, what about a loot lake? Let's go for it, man.
but if you get too
It's
many exotic
unbelievable.
fish and legendary fish, you're gonna get too many rewards.
That's
Do you
exactly like what the stakes are
I'm
so
kidding.
low.
Totally kidding.
The stakes are
I know you're
the
doing it.
stakes are so low. Why would they make it grindy?
That's what I'm saying. And yo,
Well, we don't
real
want people
talk.
farming the
There's
good
no
fish too
special
much,
bait in
you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Eververse.
well, yeah,
There's
if they bring that flounder into PvP, a Crucible, it's going to totally ruin the balance. So we
Just
gotta
don't let
nerf
it be the flounder
drop
from
rate.
Little Mermaid. That looked weird.
Bro, and lore wise, who eating the fish in Savathu's throne?
What are those fish swimming in?
What
First
are they
off, that's
swimming
not water. I don't think it doesn't look clean.
Well, apparently, so I was confused about this too because I understood throne worlds to be non-material worlds,
Yeah,
but apparently she dragged a real pyramid ship into
Oh, yeah.
her throne world. So it's an actual physical ship with like living things on it. So now
Yeah.
I'm kind of confused. Maybe I just don't understand what throne worlds are because I thought, you know, we
That's
went into
probably
the
very
Taken
fuzzy
King's
in my
throne world.
mind.
Because also, like in the throne world, part of the reason I thought that it was a non-material realm is because Oryx was enormous in that world, and we know he's not
Yes.
actually that enormous. But then he dies and somehow lands on the real planet,
Titan,
real moon,
real moon of Titan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
And so it's like wait. So when we killed him in the throne world, did he pop out of his throne world and land on our real moon, or like how are throne worlds connected to real reality?
Yeah, I give you that.
Dude,
I have
Destiny
no
doesn't-
idea what throne worlds
Yeah, it's like
is.
don't overthink it. It's like it's like a movie. You got to suspend your disbelief plenty of times in any of this stuff. It's fine.
Oryx is the veil. None of it's stupid. You know, none of it makes any sense.
Ooga Booga Caesar. That's
It's like whose line is it anyway? All the points are made up and nothing matters, right?
Yeah.
You probably. I'm sure you like whose line is it anyway. Travis.
Oh yes,
I have a complicated relationship with it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you would love that.
I think they're all very talented improvisers, but I hate that when people think of improvised comedy, that's what they think it is.
Oh
because
no.
yeah.
I know
it's
what
very
you mean.
like bottom of the.
Those are like
common
one-liner bits, like as opposed to
Yeah.
doing a whole like. I've been to a full-on improv show, and that's like when you watch them kind of like take a suggestion and like build a scene out of it and stuff like that. I was like, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, those
I
are
like the old version of the show.
yeah with
But they are very good and they're
Yeah.
funny people. Just
Um,
I did watch the show a lot when I was younger.
Yeah, I like the old. I love the original stuff back in the day.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's most of what's going on. There was a thing about an artist piece that was in the cinematic. It seems like that's been mostly resolved by Bungie. There was a
They
third.
apologize? I assume that
They've
they-
actually reached out and will work on offering credit and compensation to the artist.
What was the art?
So
that
the
was
art
taken?
was basically a picture of looked like the veil when it looks like the statue gets like sliced
Mhm.
in the cinematic. I think it's the one that looks like the veil, got like kind of a ring around it with like little triangles and stuff around it. Not hard to find. I can send it to you.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
And it
That's
looks
good.
like it was damn near copied, and that was the
So
issue. Is that,
I wonder, how does that happen on accident? Did
so
they
it was
just, like,
they used a third party to build the cutscene, and apparently the third party maybe thought this was like official Bungie art. That's at least the word I'm getting. So they used that as reference material for the cinematic, not knowing it was fan art. They thought it was official because of how it looked, which says the artist did a damn good job.
makes sense.
Yeah. So as an accident, and then Bungie was like, that's why I was like, it went live on Tuesday, and by Thursday, the fact that they've actually released an official statement on it, I'm honest, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt of the fact that that was an accident. Now, I mean, a lot of people can say, oh, it's like, it's cringy, but honestly, there's no way for Bungie to check and see every piece of fan art in Destiny that's out there in the world. There's no way. So then when I think somebody posted it on Twitter and they were like, hey, it was cool. Look, my thing got used. And they're like, oh, And then it just kind of like, and then they're like, that wasn't meant to be that way. And then it was,
Got it.
somebody talk to them and be like, where'd you get that from? Yeah, I totally used that one. Sorry. Okay, we got to fix this. And it seems like, Bungie was probably none the wiser until Tuesday or whenever that came live.
I buy that explanation just knowing how game development works, and projects like this probably come together and people just kind of assume.
It's like when you have like multiple different teams, or if you outsource a cinematic, that's again, you can say I'm signing with Bungie. That's fine. But honestly, it's like, if you can't picture this as a possibility, I don't know what to tell you, because it's definitely possible. Now, the bad thing would be is if they just said nothing about it and ignored it. And then they're like, and then some people are saying it's like, well, in the terms of service, if you enter an art competition or something, then we can use your art, and then you're fine. But if they're actually going to turn around and give credit and stuff in 2 days, I think that's them trying to make something right that I don't think they're aware of. That's the way I read it. I could be totally wrong. Who knows? But so be it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. Hopefully, glad they are addressing it. It didn't go unanswered.
Very clearly, that explanation makes 100% sense to me. I think it was very clearly an accident.
I mean, so there was somebody who replied below. It was like, I'm a small developer and I outsource stuff like that. Yeah.
That sounds. Yeah, as soon as you said they used a third party for it, I was like, oh yeah, of course, because I've worked with third parties before that have done very
questionable things. I'm sure.
It's not questionable. It's just like rubish stuff where you're like, come on, like anybody should have known that. But third parties, they're not. They don't.
Yeah,
contractors always. Yeah, they make mistakes.
That makes sense.
That's why they're contractors. They don't get full. They don't get paid full. They should compensate that guy though. Or
they said they're supposed to. They said they're supposed to. I don't know what the compensation would be, but being as it's very public, hopefully it's decent now. But we'll see. That is most of what's going on for the week, because we covered the crazy video from Cross. We got the cinematic. We got the quest through. Talk to you guys about that one in like 2 weeks. And then now, the little piece about that one. But honestly, yeah, it's
one more week, right?
For what? The quest?
The seasonal
one more week of the story. And then the week after that, we have probably the exotic quest will go out. And then probably after that, we'll have Solstice.
Right. We have 60 days left on the season.
Something like that. Yeah, 6 weeks.
And then what is our date for final shape reveal?
The showcase is August 22nd. It's the same day as the new season.
Okay. Got a lot of stuff up. And GCX is coming up soon. Yes,
GCX is August 3rd and 4th. Friday, Saturday. I will be at GCX, so will Cog. Quite a few people are going to be there this time. I'm going to be there short. I'll be there like literally Thursday. Like I get there in the morning and I leave Saturday night, because the after party next day thing at Universal. For one, I would probably do that if my wife was there and we wanted to do that. But being by myself, I'm leaving late Saturday night and I'm out. So I'll be there for the convention. So if you're around those 3 days, you'll see me.
No doubt.
Oh, I kind of wanted to get your take. So I know this is just Paul Tassi just cracked me up. Again, no, it was the whole thing about Diablo and then the seasonal characters, that you have to make a new character to partake in Diablo seasons. And that's the way like Path of Exile and Diablo 3, they've worked that way. And again, I've been like
Diablo's for over a decade.
Yeah, I was like, it's been doing it. And it's just, and then he had a video over that, and some Diablo creator did a reaction video with him. And then he has his thumbnail that was used of his face is like angry face Paul Tassi or something. So I got a content creator doing him. Then he did a reaction video to the guy's reaction video.
Oh my God. I didn't know that.
I wanted to ask you guys or in chat, does anything about the idea that in Diablo, you make a character right now that's in the Eternal Realm, it's going to be there. Then if you want to partake in whatever is new in Season 1, you need to make a new seasonal character. Does that turn you off? Or is that something that's like fine? Thoughts? I just wanted to ask you two if you're like going to be going in or what.
I'll defer to Travis first as the Diablo veteran.
So, this is how Diablo's worked for a while. It has never really been a seasonal model that appeals to me because it is very grindy. The fact I think it's called adventure mode in Diablo 3. The fact that you can skip the story definitely makes it more appealing. And typically what they do is they'll introduce something new about the game and be like, hey, make a new character and build it around this. And then, you go through the season to do that. I'm going to give it a try with Diablo 4, actually. I think Diablo 4 has a much better system in place than Diablo 3 that will make it feel less painful to make a new character every season. But I did engage in some Diablo 3 seasons back in the day, and creating a new character wasn't really my bag, but I don't really know a better way to do it with the ARPG format, because that's kind of what a season is in ARPGs. At least traditionally, it's what they've been. And I don't think that if they let you keep your character and then added new content, that would be enough to feed the system. And I will say, being able to skip the story, immediately getting 10 skill points, immediately getting up to 16.
I don't know how much renown you're going to carry over. I was listening to the campfire.
I talked to them. Yeah, so you carry over all of the perks on the bottom of the
I thought that wasn't totally there.
Ones at the top. So you do get to keep your Paragon points and your skill points. So like, make a new character in Diablo 4 feels awesome after you've beaten the story.
I think my barbarian was level 10 in 30 minutes. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, I think I got to level 15 in the first 30 minutes. I did like a couple dungeons, and then 10 skill points on top of that. You basically
10 skill points help a ton.
Yeah.
The skill points on new ones
right away, and then you start feeling strong, and you start leveling really quickly. And then you can also play with your friends who have power leveled already, and you can do super high level activities and just farm mad XP. And so there's ways to do stuff to just like grind it out really quickly. But also seasons aren't really about the grind necessarily. They're about like experimenting with whatever new thing they introduced. And I think pretty early in Diablo seasons, they introduced pet followers. You could have like a gnome follow, a goblin follow you around and collect all the treasure for you and stuff like that. Nice. So I'm really excited to see it. That way you don't have to pick up gold anymore. You just got a little that does it for you. I'm really excited for that. But most of the big changes that they announced at that fireside chat were like season 2 stuff, right?
Yeah,
like
it's kind of like the bigger thing, like the gym stuff, like the inventory was going to be in there.
I wrote an article about the gem change, which is going to be season.
I mean, you'll get to a point where you won't even pick up the old ones, but yeah, they're just an inventory pain for now. But yeah, I mean it's probably going to last for years as the last one did, and they have a really good base to start. The engagement.
I'm boycotting. I hate it. I'll tell you why. So simple. Terrible system. I want Iron Lord as a title. I cannot have Iron and Lord unless I play as a necromancer. Garbage system. This is terrible. They're forcing me to use another main. I need my title.
So
man.
Next season, start your necromancer, and there you go. You're done.
Nonsense.
Gives you a reason to make a new character.
I don't want to play Hunter.
Necromancer's
I don't want to play. I won't be a warlock forever.
Rogue.
Necromancer's it's like the rogue is the hunter. The necromancer is closer to a warlock at least.
Playing as a rogue. He doesn't want to play as a necromancer.
No.
I'm playing as a sorcerer, man. I don't want. It's terrible, bro. I'm literally calling myself Iron Lout. I unlocked Lout. This is disgraceful.
Honestly, that more accurately describes.
Shut up.
Honestly, we should all start calling him an Iron Lout, guys.
Lout. You did this to yourselves. Today we've got Iron Lout and Tie Guy Travis.
Locking titles behind classes. How dare you, Blizzard? How dare you? I can't even be an Iron Lord.
Don't worry, they'll give you microtransaction to put it on whatever.
Then I can buy.
Yeah. Just wait.
At least Destiny let me buy it.
You throw it out in the universe. Yeah.
To be fair, it kind of is nice that titles have different or character class specific, because when I think of a necromancer, I think of like lavish names like Lord, and when I think of a rogue, like rogues aren't lords.
No, they're not.
They're louts. They're louts. Like that's way more descriptive of that class. Like,
that does make sense. That does make sense. Yeah.
I can see a sorcerer being a lord, but it definitely doesn't make sense for a rogue.
Barbarian definitely isn't. That's going to be like a Nordic name or something. Like, but yeah, Diablo's still fun. A lot of betas going on. I got 1 or 2 more that I got to try, and that's mostly. I will be curious how I take the seasons.
Travis,
do what?
Back from the dead said he heard another content creator say tie-dye Travis.
Tie-dye.
Tie-dye Travis would be a very different character.
You live in the perfect city for that.
He has like a headband on. Plays hacky sack professional.
Yes,
100%. You got the tie-dye piece shirt on.
Oh yeah,
100%. I see this guy.
Bus, always
that is what happened when Travis got into like the stoner culture, and that's like an parallel universes. Travis bumps into that guy, and it's just like I could have gone down that road. I didn't. I chose suits.
I chose to have a job.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, that's probably a good place to wrap it up on the Iron Lout discussion. So that is too funny. You guys got anything cooking between now and next week?
Yeah. For
Yeah.
me, I'm sorry. Please try.
You first. You first.
Just Final Fantasy 16.
Nice.
Love the demo. Love the ending.
I heard the cliffhanger. The demo's like,
Bro.
like I need more.
I will say, this ain't your mama's Final. This ain't your daddy's Final Fantasy. This is. Oh, it's sex, murder, and murder. It's crazy out here, bro. Oh, they out here. I just like that they got something like they got a race of people that their kingdoms are using as human weapons of mass destruction called the dominants. And this is they be like, the East has a dominant. You know what I'm saying? They think they're gonna try to win this war. It is Game of Thrones Final Fantasy.
That's kind of what I heard.
It speaks to my soul. It's Lord this, Lord that. It's brutal. The way this thing ended in this demo, I said, I know y'all ain't gonna just do me like this and leave me like this.
Oh yeah, they're gonna make you turn around and pre-order right there.
Bro, the pre-order stream came up. It was the perfect marketing tool. I was like, there's no way I don't know what I need to know what happens. I need to know.
And Square did their job well for
they did that. Going to get in that. Just going
is why we do demos. Hear that, developers? That's why we offer demos.
Facts. I mean, if you were on the fence, anybody who's on the fence, which I knew I was going to pick it up, because I haven't really picked up a mainline Final Fantasy new one in a while. Yeah. I didn't pick up the one with the cars, the guys
15,
with the cars.
The boys road trip, yeah.
Yeah, boys road trip.
My brother said it was pretty fun, but
people said I would like it too. But I was like, this one, I was like, all right, it's calling me. It's very lordly. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, let me get in there. No. This is really, really impressive. Not necessarily sold on the combat just yet. Kind of Devil May Cry, spongy.
I mean, that's we'll see.
You know, I spoke to Gene Park about it. He calls it Devil May Clive. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But no, but I do like what I played narratively, story wise, and how they're doing it. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then finish up Diablo. Been rocking and rolling on that. Still testing all types of games on Rock Ally, and then.
By the way, I just wanted to say you joke about finishing up Diablo, like that's just something you're gonna knock out in a night or two.
I'm blazing. Because now,
what level are you?
When I'm away, I can blaze. That was the key. Like
I know.
Being away from my console.
What level are you?
I'm like 30 something. What did somebody call me? Yeah, like 30 something. And I did. I'm like Act 2, Act 3, whatever it is. I forgot what it is. But
you got some time.
But I got great friends.
Well, that's
if you know what I mean. I got great friends. Be like, God, you ready? Let's go. So we'll do that, and then just continue the Destiny storyline, and then as far as everything, that's pretty much it. Just games. That's what literally has been going on for me. What about you, Trav?
Yeah, playing a lot of games. I've got a review of a video game called Dave the Diver going live.
Oh, yeah, you told us about that last week. I looked that up.
Yes, it looks
cool. It is a game where you play a morbidly obese scuba diver who also runs a sushi shop at nighttime, and
that's hilarious.
That's all I can say about it right now. But look for my review next week, and I'll have a lot more to say about it. And then I've got a couple things I can't talk about, different games I'm previewing and stuff, and then. Yeah, just come hang out with me on Sundays on Bitcast if you care about that at all. And other than that, I'm just hanging out. I'm hoping I will catch up on a few games because it's about to get very busy for me next month. I think I'm probably going to be on the Remnant 2 review.
Nice.
Probably going to review at least one more game that looks like it's going to be really bad.
Oh, you gotta keep the balance. Like
gotta keep them going, man. I gotta give the people what they want,
and you gotta get the 10th one at least on your list on your IGN list. You gotta get at least 10 on there. Round it out.
I still don't have a 10 or a 1, so I'm looking. I'm accepting applications if somebody wants to give me a 10.
The 10 I think might be hard just because that type of stuff I feel like will be claimed by people who still work there, unless it's just like a surprise.
True.
I mean,
I know.
Like you could even do like Starfield, and I don't know if that's gonna go full 10. Maybe it does, but it's like somebody's claimed that. Like Tears of the Kingdom, I could see Starfield being like an 8 or a 9. I don't know if it can go full masterpiece.
I will be
because it's so big.
I'll be very surprised if Starfield is a 10 because of the guy who's reviewing it.
Interesting.
Dan Stapleton. My boss.
Oh, the legend. Okay, the legend. All right. Salute. Let's see how it does.
He's a tough critic.
Yeah,
I
I was
don't
like, that's
know.
kind of the thing.
I
It's
think
just
I think the only
You
10
like
he's
Midnight
given
Suns?
is
I'm a fan.
hey, there
the
you
only
go.
10 he's given is Half-Life Alyx that I know of.
Well, that sounds justified from what I've heard.
Yep,
Mhm.
absolutely. I would have given that game a 10 if I were
Ah,
given
there
that.
you go.
Yeah, there's lots of games I would have given a 10. I just didn't get to review them.
Right, exactly. That's why I'm like, for you to get a 10 on your list, I hope you don't get a 1 for your sake, but I do want you to. I do want you to get a chance at a 10 because you
I
definitely
really
paid
hope
your
I can get
dues.
a 1.
I hope you don't get a
The
1.
thing about ones is
How was like?
don't review them
Yeah, you can't.
weirdly because you can't because
I mean,
typically
you've
they
had a
don't
couple
work.
2s, and you probably shouldn't have done those, but you
I've
did.
had 3 2s.
Damn.
Wow. Who
Yeah.
got the 2? Who give me one
What
of
was
those?
like
Crossfire X,
was Nerf?
Nerf Legends,
That was
Nerf
one. Yep.
Legends.
uh, Postal 4.
Ah, okay.
All those got a 2. Yeah. And Postal 4 is the closest I've ever gotten to giving a 1. That game was almost a 1. In fact, GameSpot gave it a 1, and I was
That's
angry
right.
because I constantly end up in the middle. I always think I'm going to be extreme on one side or the other, and I'm always right in the middle. I'm just apparently like a very average. I have a very moderate brain. And on that one, I was like, "Oh, I'm giving Postal a 2. I'm going to get flayed for this." And then GameSpot gave it a 1, and then the only other outlet that reviewed it gave it a 3. So I was literally right in the middle
Video.
of that. Yeah,
Dead center.
I was just like, God damn it. Yeah. So literally every time I review a game, I end
Mean
up
and median.
right in the
Yeah.
middle.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, for me, I want to beat the boss in Lies of P, just because I'm sure that's where the demo ends. I'll be looking to play that one later. Sea of Stars. It's kind of the Chrono Trigger inspired kind of RPG.
Looks
I
really good.
have not played an RPG like that in so long, so I'm actually kind of curious to see how it feels again. I mean, I already played Chrono Trigger a few years ago, but
Nice.
and then I still got to put a Soul of Flawless in for good on the dungeon. I was on the last damage phase like earlier this week. Literally last damage phase, and it was just a combination of one too many things hit me at the same moment. But I was like 6 damage phases in, 2 hours in, and I was like, yep, all right, guys. Stream's over. All right, cool.
Stream's over.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those when I can't go back. You can't like turn around and start it over again after that. It's like I get one attempt at it, and if I'm that far in, I'm not going again. Yeah, that was pretty heartbreaking. That was rough. And then other than that, I'll probably be streaming a lot in July. My wife's going to be busy working on something, so I will probably just be playing a lot more stuff and maybe catch up on a movie or two.
Cool.
I did see Flash. I enjoyed that actually. I saw that.
A lot of fan service.
Really?
Tuesday.
That's surprising.
Yeah, a lot of fan service. What
Looks
it is,
pretty
I
good.
didn't like it in the first 30 minutes, but then the second half won me over. Like what it is, I don't like his portrayal of it, but once I realized, okay, this is a comedy, I'm having fun, and then I stopped taking it seriously. Then I really started to enjoy it, and I really loved the fan service.
Yeah.
There was some little things for
And
me.
I think like not the best, obviously, but I think if you take the external person aside from the character, I thought it was fun, thought it was entertaining. I walked out of there like most of my row was like chuckling many times. Like it was one of those that I think they handled it better than I would have expected. So I thought I had some fun with that. Yeah, so probably watching a few movies too. But yeah, that's all I got. I know we're kind of wrapping this thing up under 2 hours, squeaking it in, but we're trying to. So this episode, thank you guys for being here. It's been a fun episode. Thank you for the super chats. Chat, you guys have been on fire and consistent in there, so just chat blowing up. And if you enjoyed this one, drop a like. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify, leave the reviews, the 5 stars, the thumbs up, whatever you can do. And if you guys are on Spotify, you can interact with whether it's the questions or the polls or whatever's on there as well. Thank you guys for all the support. Follow all of these amazing gentlemen. And thank you guys. It's been awesome, and we continue to have a good time every week. For this episode number 254, it has been The Last Word.